Hello. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about one of the essential pieces of equipment in a reef, and that would be the Powerhead, or Wavemaker as they're known, which simulates underwater current. Now, there are differing opinions on these things in terms of what brand works best. You'll see a lot of people get behind certain brands like the Ecotech Marine, the Vortex, and Jabal, and some of the other companies that are out there as far as what they put out. In terms of bang for buck, though, one of the ones that's also often recommended is the Hydor Koralia. Now, Hydor Koralia has a couple of different lines. They've got their regular line, and then they also have kind of a little bit higher end version that's called the third gen, the Hydor Koralia third generation Powerheads, and that's what these are right here. Now, these I've had for quite some time now. One of them actually transferred from my old 36-gallon bow front. I have a pair of them in here. These are the 1950 gallon per hour rated units, which for my 90-gallon tank, a pair of them works great. I actually had a 2450 at one point, and the thing was just way too powerful. It beat up my hammer real good, blew sand, and so finally I just returned it and got another 1950, and it seems to have evened out a lot more. It does a lot better. So these units are not super expensive. Generally speaking, you can get them in the neighborhood of about $60 to $70 a piece, and which for a tank this size or for that kind of a flow rate is actually pretty reasonable. Now, I'm not going to say that these are better in any way than the Ecotech Marine Vortex or the gyres. I forgot about those, the ice cap gyres. Those technically they are better. However, if you've taken a look on the price tag on those things, you can understand why there are a number of people who are more interested in some of these more budget-friendly Powerheads, because they do a fairly decent job. But the Ecotech Marine Vortex, you're talking a couple $100 per unit. The ice cap gyres, $300 to $400 with the controller. So, a lot of people are just looking at that and going, okay, do I really want to spend that much money on an underwater fan or gyre? And so, in my opinion, the Hydor Koralias, they do fit a good niche there for the people who want to have a decent unit without forking over a ridiculous amount of money. Now, they do have multiple heads that come on the front of them. They are detachable. It doesn't look like it from there, but they are. They have a wider flow head. They have one that kind of is more of a focus. Generally, it's recommended you go with a wider flow head because the other ones can produce almost like a drill effect with their flow. And I actually used those by mistake once when I first got my 36-gallon, and it basically produced like a water drill there and just beat up the corals real bad. So I recommend, if you do get these and you're wondering which head to put on, definitely go for the wider flow head, as it'll put out a more even flow. It will reduce the output a bit. So these are supposedly, if I'm going strictly based on the ratings, put out 1750 gallons per hour. Realistically, we know that, all Powerheads are overrated on specs. It's kind of like a car and claiming that it has 400 horsepower when in fact you're not actually getting that many to the wheel. So anyway, but to compensate for this, generally what you do, the easiest thing to do, is just to go for a higher rated Powerhead, and that'll ensure that you will get the flow that you want. So one of these I've had for over 2 years. As I said, I can't remember which one it is. It came from the old unit. I'm guessing it's probably this guy right here, since it has more coralline algae on it. And this is the only piece of equipment that I have that's transferred from my old 36-gallon bow front in terms of mechanical equipment. It's just done a really great job for me. And it's just a good all-around unit. They come with the magnetic backing, of course, which is absolutely crucial. I've used a cheap Powerhead that doesn't have one, and it's a nightmare to get it mounted and keep it mounted. So I highly recommend ensuring that you get one with a magnetic backing, regardless of which make or manufacturer you go with. And that's about really all there is on that, and thanks for watching.